My name is Melissa Dukacek, and I am the owner of Present Moment Yoga in Washington, Missouri. I've been asked to lead this basic level yoga class for you all tonight. We were originally supposed to be live and in person. That's changed. So we're going to improvise and use this video instead. So if you are at home and you don't have a yoga mat or other yoga props, no worries. I'm going to give you lots of modifications to get into the postures without those things because we would have had them live and in person. So anyway, so go ahead and have a seat on your mat. Cross your legs. And if that's not comfortable for your knees, you can extend your legs out. So if you've never practiced yoga before, don't worry. I'm going to be giving you many options. If you have any injuries or any chronic conditions, I will also just be guiding you through ways that you can work around knee injuries or shoulder injuries. But this is a basic level class, so we're not going to be doing anything inverted or too crazy this evening. So, that being said, find your way into a comfortable seated posture. Try to root down into your sit bones. So for some of you, sitting like this might be quite uncomfortable. If you have a yoga block or a firm pillow, you might want to grab that and you can sit up on that. That will help your inner thighs open up a little bit and bring your pelvis to a more neutral position, and it might make it easier for you to sit in an upright place. If you don't have that, just sit however you're most comfortable on the floor. You can certainly grab a chair and sit in the chair as well for our opening meditation. Then once you get into an easy seat, just try to balance your shoulders directly over your hips. Allow your chin to soften just a little bit below the hinge of your jaw. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. But what I want you to work on is turning your attention away from everything else going on in your home, away from anything else that's happened today or any plans that you might have for the rest of the evening, and focus on your breath. So many of us get up in the morning and we don't even think about the breath unless we have a cold or something going on. So just take a moment and just listen. Listen to the sound that your breath makes. Notice how the breath flows in and out through the nose. Notice if you are a chest breather or if you're a belly breather. So in yoga, what we try to encourage is breathing in and out through the nose, keeping the lips lightly sealed, and trying to breathe deeply, diaphragmatically, all the way down to the belly. So by keeping the lips lightly sealed and breathing in and out through the nose, you're building heat within the body and warming your muscles up from the inside out. You're also creating a soft sound to listen to that distracts you a little bit from the chatter in your head. By breathing diaphragmatically, and by that I mean there's this dome-shaped muscle right underneath your lungs, and when you breathe fully into your lungs, the lungs press that muscle down a little bit and you feel your belly expand on the inhale. When you exhale, the belly pulls in, that muscle lifts back up, and your lungs empty out. So when you breathe diaphragmatically, you feel the whole torso expand and then contract as you exhale. And that is really clearing out some of the stagnant energy in the bottom of the lungs. So just take a moment before I go further and just notice how you breathe. When you breathe in, do you feel your belly press out? Can you hear the sound that your breath makes? If those things aren't really happening for you, Don't worry about it. It's kind of normal. A lot of people have switched their breathing so that they pull things in when they inhale, and press out when they exhale. So it's just a matter of retraining your mind and your body. The most important thing during this practice tonight is that you breathe. So if you're not breathing exactly as I cue or exactly as I am talking about right now, just make sure that you're not holding your breath, that you're not, stopping breathing completely. Make sure you breathe and you'll get the pattern of it eventually. So just take a few more moments and watch your breath. See if you can allow your attention to release from your shoulders or your throat. Notice how your body feels. Notice where your thoughts are going. So a huge part of a yoga practice is simply being mindful. Noticing little things that you might not typically notice as you go about your regular day. Really tuning in. So take 3 more deep breaths for me, relaxing your jaw as best you can. And then allow your eyes to flutter open. And just begin to gently roll your shoulders. Notice if there's tension in the neck, in the shoulders. Maybe roll the opposite way. And then just slow it down. Take your arms out to the side. Spread your fingers out. And when you're ready, inhale and reach your arms up over your head. See if you can touch the tips of your thumbs together. And exhale, come back down. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, lower down. 2 more times. Big inhale, reach up, lengthen. Exhale, arms back down. Last time, all the way up and all the way back down. Leave your right fingertips on the floor. I'm going to mirror you so it's a little bit easier. Take your left arm up and reach over your head. Little side bend here, reaching over to the right, drawing the left shoulder back a little bit so you feel some space being created between the ribs on the left side. Engage your core muscles, float both arms up and over your head. And then exhale, left hand down. Stretch through your right fingertips and reach over to the left, breathing into the right side lung. Inhale, draw all the way back up, reach into the sky. Exhale, gently rotate to the right, relaxing your shoulders, still sitting up as straight as you can. And maybe looking over to the right or looking back towards your right shoulder. Inhale, turn and reach up. Exhale, take it to the left. Same thing, look to the left or look back towards your left shoulder. Inhale, come all the way back up. And exhale, drop your hands down to your knees. The next time you exhale, round your back. So this is a seated cat pose. We're rounding the back, looking in at the stomach. And then inhale, pull your heart forward, roll your shoulders back, look up. Exhaling, round your back, look down at your belly. Inhale, heart forward, look up. Exhale, round your back, look in at your stomach. One more time, pull your heart forward, look up. And then as you exhale, everybody come back to a neutral spine. From here, we're gonna move the torso just a little bit more. We're gonna draw circles. So hands remain on your kneecaps. And then just start to circle your body. Maybe you do little circles. Maybe they gradually get bigger. Maybe you switch direction at some point and circle the opposite way. We're just rolling the torso around in a circle, starting to wake up the spine, working the obliques with muscles on the side, torso a little bit. And then eventually slow things down. Stack your shoulders over your hips, relax your elbows, and just take a deep breath or two. Notice if you start to feel some sort of energy in the body, like something's been kind of stirred up a little bit. And then take your hands behind you, draw your knees up, separate your feet a little bit, and let's begin to rock the knees from side to side, like windshield wipers on your car. Just rocking back and forth, rolling over your sit bones. And then slow it down. Cross your legs again. And then bring your fingertips out in front of you. Start to walk your hands forward. Just reaching out. Softening your belly. So try to keep the spine really long. And instead of looking forward at your screen to see what I'm doing, bring your chin into a neutral position so your neck is in alignment with the rest of your spine. Just looking down, breathing deeply, keeping the jaw relaxed. Continuing to keep your spine neutral, walk your hands over to the right. Stretch out through the left arm a little bit, drop the left shoulder. And breathe right here. Inhale and walk your hands back to the middle. And then exhale and walk your hands over to the left. Reaching out through your right hand, sinking your right hip down toward the floor. Feeling a bit of an opening between the ribs on the right side. So we're stretching those little intercostal muscles that lie between the ribs. Walk your hands back into the middle and then all the way back in towards your legs. Sweep your hands behind you once again. Soften your elbows, roll your shoulders back, press your heart forward, and lift your chin up a little bit. So maybe you're looking at the top of the wall in front of you. You might look up a little bit higher, but if you have any issues with your cervical spine, the vertebrae in your neck, try to keep your chin pretty neutral so there's no strain. And then everybody look forward again, press up, bring the arms around, roll the shoulders out one more time. Let's bring the knees up and extend the legs out. So if you can, pull your toes in. So we're gonna start to do some forward folds, and you might find that your hamstrings are really, really tight. Your lower back might be really tight. So one thing you can do is soften the knees. Another thing, if you have a yoga strap or a towel at home, you could use that to reach for your feet, or you can simply do what I'm going to do and reach for the legs or the floor. So begin with your legs outstretched. Inhale, sweep your arms up over your head. And as you exhale, bring your left hand over to your right leg and your right fingertips to the floor behind you. If you did decide to sit on a block or a pillow earlier in the practice and you're still there, go ahead and come down off of that and come down to the floor. We're twisting gently to the right. Breathing deeply in and out through the nose. Inhale, turn and reach up. Bring your right hand over to your left leg and your left hand back behind you and do a little twist here. Inhale, turn and reach up. Exhale, reach out. Bring your hands, some of you might go to your feet, some of you might use a strap or a towel, some of you might rest on the shins or down on the floor. But what I'd like you to think about is not about getting your face down on your legs, but keeping your spine long and lowering your belly and your chest towards your thighs. So you may not go down very far at all, and that's okay. You want to keep the spine long because that will help to stretch the back of your legs. Rounding your back to get your face closer to your legs takes all of the stress or the stretch out of the back of the legs, and it strains the back a little bit. So let's keep the spine long, keep the shoulders heavy, pull the toes in. Notice if you're feeling this in your calves as well as your hamstrings, and keep breathing. Breathing deeply helps the body to open up. When you're ready, inhale and slide the shoulders back up over your hips. Take your hands to the ground behind you. Roll your shoulders back once again and lift your chin a little bit, elbows soft. And then as you exhale, drop the chin, press forward. We're going to do a little twist. So hug your right heel in, plant the right foot on the floor, take your right fingers behind you, and lift your left arm up into the sky. Then as you exhale, wrap that left arm around your right leg. Keep your spine really long, and come into a twist, flexing your left foot. Notice if you're holding any tension in your jaw, and try to relax it. And then as you inhale, turn back to the front. Allow this knee to drop out to the side so that your right foot comes in along the left inner thigh. Check your hip points. Try to point those straight ahead. Extend your arms up into the air and rotate your chest towards your left leg. Then hinge forward. So remember, we're trying to keep the spine long. Hinge forward, and at some point you're going to feel like you want to round your back. Drop your hands down. For some of you that might be on the floor, some of you might again take that strap or the towel. Some of you might reach for your foot. But fold the body toward the left thigh. And then bring your head into a neutral position again so your neck doesn't feel any strain. Once you get into whatever version of the posture that you are in, listen to your breath. Relax your shoulders, your throat, and your jaw. Think about breathing diaphragmatically so that you feel your rib cage expand. Your belly presses out, and then everything contracts. Another thing to think about is using your inhalation to lengthen your body, and your exhalation to drop a little bit deeper. Now, you certainly won't do that on every breath, but for the first few breaths, and maybe then, 30 seconds or so into the pose, try using an inhalation to lengthen, and an exhalation to drop back in. Maybe you'll go a little bit deeper. Hold and breathe, finding your edge. activate your belly, slowly lift up, and then extend the right leg out. Shake your legs out a little bit. So we'll do our second side. Left heel comes in, left fingers to the ground behind you, right hand up in the air. Wrap that right arm around your left leg. Again, keeping the spine long and the shoulders relaxed. Deep breathing. Inhale, turn back to the front. Allow the left knee to drop out to the side. Hips point straight ahead. Send your arms up into the air. Turn your chest toward the right leg this time. And then exhale, reach out, foot, strap, floor, drop in. It may not be the same on this side. We're not as symmetrical as we would like to think. So just notice where the sensation is in your body this time through. Keep the neck very neutral and listen to your breath. Inhale, lift your torso. This time, pull your right foot in to meet your left foot. So this is called cobbler's pose. For some of you, you might find that your knees are way up here. Others of you might be able to get your knees down on the floor, and some of you are just right in between. Sometimes moving the heels forward a little bit helps with that, or drawing them in. And sometimes it's simply the way the head of the femur bone sits in the hip socket. If the bone hits bone here, your knees aren't going to go any further. If it's a muscular issue and there's just a lot of sensation and tension here, we can work with that, and maybe your knees will go down a little bit deeper. So if your knees are up here, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Lift up through the top of the head, and then slowly start to lean forward again. You'll most likely feel this one in your lower back and in your inner thighs, especially if it's muscle tension here that is inhibiting the movement of the knees. But lengthen out. Breathe into the low back. Keep the jaw relaxed and the shoulders heavy. Sometimes if you grab your feet and kind of roll the soles of the feet up a little bit, like you're opening up a book, that can help too with getting the legs into a more comfortable position. Then we'll engage the core and float back up. Move your hands onto your shins. Tuck your tailbone, round your back, look down at your stomach. Deep breathing. Inhale, pull your chest forward again. And exhale, draw your knees together. So the next posture we're going to work on is called boat pose. I'm going to turn sideways so you have a better view of that. So we'll start with your knees bent. Sorry, my tongue got tangled. We're going to grab the backs of the legs and sit up as straight as we can. Start to tip back a little bit. Try to avoid rounding the back, pulling the heart forward, leaning back, and then you could leave your toes on the floor if you're already working really hard here, or you could try to pick your toes up and hold your boat pose, lifting your heart, relaxing your shoulders. Hold and breathe here. The tendency to clench the jaw is, it's likely. Then tap your toes down. Set your hands down behind you and begin to rock your knees from side to side. And then we'll try that again. So slow the movement down. Once again, bring your hands to the backs of your legs, tip back, lifting your heart, looking forward, float your toes up. If you feel pretty good here, you could reach your arms out, but try to keep your heart lifted. Some of you might even feel good enough to stretch the legs out, full boat. Then bend your knees, tap your toes down, set your hands down behind you, separate your feet about hip distance apart. We're gonna roll our shoulders back, spread the fingers out, and see if you can maybe lift your hips up and look at the ceiling. Exhale, set your hips back down. And then go ahead and extend your legs straight out in front of you one more time. Inhale, reach up into the air. Exhale, fold forward, again grabbing whatever you have available. Hold and breathe right here. Inhale, lift up. Sweep your hands behind you one more time. Roll your shoulders back, lift your heart. If any of you can press into your heels and lift your hips and point your toes, go ahead and give that a try. And then everybody come back down. Shake out your wrists. Pull your feet around behind you. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So, spread your fingers out. You don't have to worry about the thumbs so much, but spread your fingers out like spokes in a wheel. What we're trying to do is keep the weight from just all being back into the wrist. We want to use the fingers, use the whole hand, kind of suction cup your palm to the mat. Have your knees underneath your hips and your back pretty flat. So we're going to go through some cat and cow again. We did that seated earlier. So exhale, round your back, look at your legs. Inhale, lower your belly down. So you kind of arch the back a little bit. And then exhale, round again, pressing into your hands. So if you'll notice, my arms are not moving at all. It's all in my spine. Press the spine up. And then lower the belly back down. One more time, lift your spine up. And then lower the belly down toward the floor. Come back to a neutral spine. Take your knees just a little bit wider than your hips and bring your toes together. Try dropping your hips back towards your heels and extending the arms out. So this is called child's pose. You could also bend your elbows and stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. That's nice for people who have shoulder issues. If your knees bother you, you can keep your hips up above your knees and come down onto your forearms and just kind of drop your head a little bit. Another option for those of you with knee issues is to put a blanket or something underneath your knees for a little extra padding, especially if you're not on carpet, if you're on a hardwood floor. But whatever version of child's pose you're in, just drop in. This is a great posture for calming down the mind because our gaze is downward. We're not distracted by external sounds and, well, maybe sounds, but not things moving around. We can kind of go inward a little bit. It's also a nice resting posture. If you get tired, you can come here. You can also notice your breath a little bit better here. You can feel your belly press into your thighs and know if you're breathing into the chest or into the belly or not. So everybody lift the head a little bit and walk your hands over to the right. So we're going to start to stretch out through the left fingers, relax the left shoulder, and really stretch the left side of the body. Come back to the middle of your mat. And then walk your hands over to the left, reaching out through the right arm and dropping the right shoulder down. Find your way back to the middle. As you inhale, pull back up to all fours. So we're going to come into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, spread your fingers out again like spokes in a wheel. Press your knees off the floor, keep them bent for right now, and bring your hips back. So work on coming to a straight line between the wrists, the shoulders, and the hips. So one of the limiting things in this posture for many people is tightness in the hamstrings. So that's why starting with bent knees is helpful. See how it feels, and then maybe start to straighten out the legs, and you can pedal your heels up and down. I call this walking the dog. We're just pedaling heels up and down. Notice how your calves feel. Hold here just a little bit longer. And then go ahead and begin to walk your toes toward your hands. Soften your chest down toward your thighs. And maybe you can grab the opposite elbow. If there's any hamstring issues or lower back tightness, you could put your arms on your thighs or your hands on your shins. Just dangle here in a standing forward fold. Then press down into your feet, draw in through your belly, come all the way up to standing, reach your arms up over your head. I'm going to face you for a moment. Breathe your arms down by your side. Roll your shoulders out. So different foundation now, we come to standing. So what I'd like you to try to do is root down through all four corners of your feet. Big toe, little toe, both sides of the heel pressing down. Notice if you're locking out your knees, and just bring a tiny little bend into your knees. And also notice if you're kind of forward in your toes or back in your heels, and try to find that sweet spot right in the middle. So this is your foundation. This is where your balance and your stability comes from in your standing poses. Inhale, reach your arms up over your head. Grab the left wrist and tip over to your right. Try to stay balanced over both feet. And then inhale, come up, grab your right wrist and tip over to your left. Inhale all the way back up. Breathe your arms down. Roll your shoulders out. Inhale, sweep your arms back up over your head. Soften your knees and exhale, fold forward. You can rest your hands on the legs, or you can come down to the floor. Or if you have a yoga block, you can put that down on the floor in front of you and kind of lift the floor up to you. Pressing into your feet, inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring your hands down to your heart as you exhale. This is Anjali Mudra. You'll see this position with your hands quite often in a yoga practice. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold again. Inhale, float your shoulders up. Exhale, drop your chest in towards your thighs. Press into your feet. Inhale, rise, reach up into the sky. Exhale, hands back into your heart. So we're just moving through half sun salutations right now. Reach your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, float your shoulders up. Exhale, drop into a fold. Press into your feet and inhale, rise up, reaching to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. So we're going to move a little bit further. I'm going to step back up to the front edge of my mat so you can see everything. Standing in mountain pose again, spreading out the toes. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, lift your shoulders, draw them away from your ears. Exhale, drop in and step your left foot back. Bend the right knee and then lower your left knee gently down toward the floor. So blanket underneath the knee if you need a little extra padding. And sometimes you can just flip over the edge of your mat and put your knee on that and it'll give you a little extra padding if you need it. Hold here. Hands on either side of the right foot is an option. Or you could bring your right hand to the inside edge of the right foot. If you have short arms or if you're just really tight, you can put a block on the floor here, lift your hands up. Your back toes can be tucked, or you can come to the top of the foot. It kind of makes a difference in how the knee feels, so you can play around with that. As you inhale, send your hips back. See if you can start to straighten out the right leg. You might need to walk your fingers back a little bit. Pull the right toes up, drop the hip, keep your spine long. Just notice how the back of that right leg feels. Inhale, pull forward. Leave your left hand on the floor, take your right hand up. And then exhale, right hand down to the floor. Tuck your left toes again. Lift this knee and see if you can step back into our downward facing dog. So remember, bent knees is a great option here. Walk your feet back up to your hands. Lift your shoulders up a little bit. And then step your right foot back. Bend your left knee. So what you want to try to do is get the left ankle underneath the knee or just a tiny little bit ahead of it. If you have your foot way back here and your knee's pushing forward, there's a lot of strain on that joint, and we don't want that. So let's put the back knee down, the right knee down, and notice how my knee is back behind my hip, so I'm getting a deeper hip flexor stretch here. If you can do that, give it a shot. Toes can be tucked or back onto the top of the foot again. And remember, you can move your left hand around to the inside edge of the foot. Lift your chest, hug your left hip back, and breathe right here. Then pulling in through your core, shift your hips back and try to straighten out that left leg a little bit and feel the stretch in the back of the left leg. Periodically, check in with your breathing. Make sure that you're not clenching your jaw, that you're not holding your breath. And if you don't hear me cue something for a bit, just remember, just keep breathing. I'm not asking you to hold the breath. I'm just, letting you breathe at your own pace. Walk your hands forward again. Drop in, left knee over ankle. Take the left hand up onto your thigh. Rotate your chest, and then maybe send the left hand up into the sky. Come into a little twist. Exhale, left hand down to the floor, tuck your right toes, lift your knee, engage your core, step back into whatever variation of downward dog works for you. You could put your knees down on the floor and go into child's pose. Walk your toes forward. Shoulders float up. Soften the knees, drop down into a fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, stand all the way up, reach into the sky. Exhaling, bring your hands back into your heart. So we're going to work on a balance pose. We're going to come into tree pose. So balance can change throughout the day. So spread your toes out, hands at your heart. See if you can take your right heel onto your left inner ankle and open up this inner thigh. Point the knee out. Also work on hugging the left hip in and engaging the low belly. If you feel pretty steady here, move your foot up to your calf. Try to find something to look at that's not moving. If you're still steady, you might try bringing your foot up to your left inner thigh. I would just encourage you not to put your foot on the knee, even though it feels pretty good to have the knee join in the arch of the foot. It's not super safe, so let's not do that. And then you could try taking your hands up and over your head, lengthening your torso, hugging that left hip in, and just finding something steady to look at. So there might be a little bit of play in the ankle. If you fall out of it, that's okay. Just try again. Let your practice be playful. Exhale, draw the hands into your heart and return the right foot to the mat. Kind of wiggle your hips, spread out your toes, and try again on the other side. Left heel onto the right ankle, calf, or foot up on the inner thigh. Left inner thigh is open, right hip hugs in, engage your lower belly. Hands here. You can always go to a wall or hold on to a chair. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to be in the middle of the room. Use something else to help support you if you need it. This is a common place for people to hold their breath too. Try to let your breath flow. And then hands back into the heart, left foot down to the floor, shake it out. Good. So step back to the front of the mat if you need to. Inhale, reach your arms up. So we're coming into chair pose. Spread out your toes, send your hips back as if you were sitting in a chair. So I don't know how well you can see this, but my knees are back behind my toes. So ideally, if you look down, you could see your toes. You want your hips back instead of letting your knees come forward over your toes. So hips are back, we're reaching out, knees about hip distance apart. And then exhale, fold forward, drop in and feel the stretch in the back of your legs. Inhale, float your shoulders up. Exhale, step your left foot back. Spin the heel to the floor. Right knee is bent. Come all the way up. So this is called Warrior One. So you can't really see this in the video, but my right foot is closer to the right edge of the mat, and then the left foot is a little bit further to the left so that my feet are not lined up, nor is my left leg crossed behind my right. I have like a train track distance between my feet. Reach your arms up, hug your right hip back, and really try to engage your back quad so your back leg is strong and supportive. Reaching up into the sky, relaxing the shoulders. And then we'll open out into Warrior Two. So pulling in through your belly, we're going to leave the right knee straight ahead. Turn the torso, drop your arms down to shoulder height. So the legs don't really change, but the upper body turns gently to the left. your left hand down to your back leg and reach your right hand up into the sky. Reverse your warrior. Exhale, take your hands down to the mat, roll up on your left toes, and then step up, coming back into your forward bend. Inhale, lift your shoulders and step your right foot back and spin the heel to the floor. So again, just make sure that that right foot isn't crossed behind the left foot. You have a nice solid foundation. Bend the left knee, come up. So knee above the ankle or a little bit behind it, working down into your warrior one pose. Both legs strong. Inhale, rotate out, warrior two. So my shoulders are over my hips, my arms are floating. You'll know if you're not quite in alignment. If you feel like your front leg is taking more weight than your back leg, that means that you're leaning in. Pull the shoulders over the hips, and hold here. Drop the back hand, reach the right hand, or the left hand up, sorry, and breathe here, reverse warrior. Then send your hands around, roll up on your right toes, push, and come forward, drop in. Press into your feet, come all the way up, reach into the sky. Exhale, hands into your heart. So let's all take a big step out to the right, or whatever direction allows you to still see what I'm doing. Nice wide straddle stance. Bring your hands onto your hips, spread out your toes. Inhale, look up toward the ceiling a little bit. And then exhale, tip forward. So you might bend the knees and rest the forearms on your thighs. You might reach for your shins. Again, if you have a yoga block, you can put it here in front of you. Rest your hands on that. Or some of you might be able to take the hands down to the ground. But find your way into a straddle fold of some sort. This is another posture where you should pay attention to if the weight is in your heels or in your toes, and try to find a neutral place right in the middle. Taking the hands back to your hips, inhale, come all the way up and open up your chest. And then come back to neutral. Walk your feet together and step back up to the front edge of your mat. Inhale, reach to the ceiling. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to your mat and come back into child's pose again. Then inhale, lift up, drop your hips off to the side, bring your legs out in front of you. We're going to come down onto our back. So there are a couple things here that if you have a yoga strap or a towel, it might be helpful to have those near you. If you don't have that, I will give you plenty of options. So lie down on your back, draw your knees into your chest. Make sure I'm still in the screen here. And hug your knees in. And just rock a little bit from side to side. go ahead and set your left foot down on the floor and keep hugging the right knee in. Rotate your right ankle around a little bit and wiggle your toes. It's kind of relieve some of the compression in the joint after we've done those standing postures. And then take your hands behind your leg and hold on to the back side of it. So if you have a strap or a towel, you could also take that around your foot. If you're really warmed up and flexible and you can grab your foot, go ahead and do that. But somehow hold on to the leg and just extend that foot up into the sky. You might have a little knee bend here, and that's fine too. Stretch out your left leg if you would like to feel a slightly deeper stretch in the back of the right leg. Flex both of your feet. And then as you exhale, bend your right knee, hold it in your left hand, take your right arm out to the side, and gently cross the right knee over the body into a little twist. Deep breath right here. Inhale, draw your knee up. Set your right foot down on the ground. Exhale, pull your left knee in. Just hold it here for a moment. And then extend the foot up. Again, strap your hand, a towel, the back of your leg. Lots of options. But pull the leg gently in. See how it feels on this side. Eventually stretch out the right leg if that works for you, and pull slowly in. Bend your left knee and hold it in your right hand. Left arm out to the side, gently cross the knee over to the right. Try to keep your left shoulder relaxed. Inhale, take the knee back up. Set your left foot down on the floor. Slide your right foot back in. Give yourself about a hip distance between your feet. You could go a little bit wider too, but hip distance or so between your feet. Rest your arms down by your side. Wiggle your shoulder blades in underneath you. And then press down into your feet and lift your hips. If you can clasp your hands behind your back and wiggle your arms under a little bit more, go ahead and do that. So this is called bridge pose. Hips are lifted up, arms are pressing down. And then release your hands. Wiggle your body back down to the floor. Let your tailbone rest. Hug your knees into your chest. Hold on and rock a little bit from side to side. And then take your arms out to the side and see if you can drop your knees over to the right. If that's a lot for your low back, you could put your feet down first and then lower the knees over to the right. Inhale, draw your knees back up. And exhale, take the knees over to the left, keeping your right shoulder really heavy. Inhale, knees come up. Exhale, set your feet down on your mat. Open your knees out so that the soles of the feet are together. Knees opening out into a reclined cobbler's pose. You can leave your arms out here at your side, or you could bend your elbows, have your hands over your head, so that the shape of the arms mimics the shape of the legs. Take full deep breaths, watching the core expand. With your next exhalation, draw your knees back in, stretch your legs out, extend your arms way up over your head, and move your wrist and your ankles. As you exhale, breathe your arms down by your side. So take a moment and adjust your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Maybe rock your head a little bit from side to side. Check in with the legs, bring them to a comfortable place. So those of you who have practiced yoga before might know that we end our practice in this position. It's called Shavasana. It's final relaxation, corpse pose. And we're just going to rest here. But as always, if you're uncomfortable flat on your back, you're welcome to modify. So you could bend your knees and adjust your low back. You might let the knees fall in toward each other so that there's really no effort required here. You could roll onto your side. And if you need something under your head or under your knees, you could do that. You could also come into a seated meditation posture. So choose some way to spend the last couple of minutes of your practice, allowing your body to completely relax. Make any adjustments you need to make, and then focus on your breath again. Belly rising and falling, rib cage moving in and out. Just give yourself permission to completely relax. And then very slowly and gently start to bring your attention back into this space. Feel the weight of your body on your mat, the heaviness of your bones and your muscles as you deeply relax. Start to gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your body any other way that you need to, just a little stretch here and there. Eventually, very effortlessly, find your way to your side and then press all the way back up to a seated posture. Settling back in over your sit bones, finding a neutral pelvis, relaxing your shoulders and your jaw. If you'd like, expand your arms out to the side and open up your heart. And then exhale, draw your palms together. Bring your hands into your heart center. Soften your gaze towards your fingertips. So we'll close this session by saying namaste, which means the light in me honors and thanks the light in you. So namaste. Thank you all for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can find more information on our website, presentmomentyoga.com. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. And the phone number is on there, the email address is on there. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. If you have questions about how to modify things or our class schedule, we are in studio for all of our classes. We also offer Zoom for a large number of them as well. So if you're interested in what we have to offer, please go ahead and go to the website and check it out. And I really enjoyed doing this for you tonight, so have a wonderful evening. Namaste.